Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Couch Coaches. I'm John Lazaron. I'm joined by my good friend here, Richard Villetti, the bandwagon conductor. Richard, I didn't want to start this episode in despair or in upset or anything, but yeah, sometimes good things come to an end, and this time for the Warriors it did, and yeah, I'm still feeling it, mate. What about yourself?
Choo, 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 choo. Oh, the bandwagon's still going. I think there's a lot of love sort of been thrown around still for the boys. I can hear it in your voice, John. You're hurting. And we were just talking just before we hit record, and I've just been thinking sort of about these little moments during that game and what could have been. But I think we got beaten by the better team on the day, and I don't think the Warriors playing the best game of the season would have stopped the Broncos. And that night they were rolling forward. It was just such a fast game of league. I feel that was one of the fastest games of league I've ever watched in my life. Like it was just the non-stop action, and what was it? 7 tries in the first half. But well, it is what it is. Great season, from what was it, 14th, 15th to 4th on the table, and so hopefully onwards and upwards from there in the next couple of seasons.
For sure, bro, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm hurting, but yeah, they did me proud. They've done the whole country proud, and I think that's a good thing about the WAS supporters at the moment. I did say WAS. But the WAS supporters is that they are still they are still up there, standing up. They're still applauding the team for what they've done, and that's the awesome thing, right? And the good thing about this side is that that this is. The good thing about this season, though, is that that it wasn't just a fluke. Like we had good coaching set up, we had good players in there, and I think that they're only going to grow better in my opinion and stuff like that. But it is really hard. I mean, today I walked into work, and in the office, Corey Jane, former All Black, was in there. He had a Broncos top on. And I said to Corey Jane earlier, I was like, "What? That is a bloody ugly jersey you got on there." He just laughed and told me to piss off, pretty much. But so we were having a good laugh about it. He's been a supporter since he was young, he said. So I said I should have worn my Warriors jersey. I might wear my Warriors jersey in front of him tomorrow, or maybe if I've got some Penrith memorabilia somewhere, I might try and do that just to annoy him. But who knows?
Yeah, I'm going to be changing my. I've got like an old profile photo, which is a picture of me when I'm about 6, wearing a Penrith jersey. So when we were younger, me and my brothers, we had 3 jerseys. We had a Manly, Penrith, and a Bulldogs jersey. So there's I think that's going to be my profile photo for this week, because I'm supporting the Pars this week. That's for sure. Well, the Pars.
Yeah, when I was young, before the Warriors even came around, I supported Penrith.
Oh, there you go.
That's the honest truth. I did support them back in those days when the 90s, early 90s, when they won in 91, and I think in 1990 they were also in the grand final when they lost. I think it was to Canberra, and then they played Canberra again in the 91 grand final, I think, and won that one. So I supported them when I was young. So I'd rather them. I mean, if it was any other side besides the Broncos, like if it was say Storm. Actually, maybe not Storm. It's a hard one. It's a hard one because who would I rather win?
Raiders would be the perfect example. You'd love to see the Raiders get up.
Yeah, bro.
Loves the Raiders.
For some reason, I just don't want the Broncos to win on coming up this Sunday, and I actually don't think they will. I mean, we'll go over that, and we'll go over that in a short period of time. But I still don't think the Panthers will lose this game. I think they're just too good. But anyway, let's just quickly go over. Let's just go over the game.
We have to.
Unfortunately, we have to. But,
we do have to.
Yeah, we do have to, because the thing is, I agree with you. Yeah, the Warriors were blown off the park there. They weren't the better team. However, I will say this though, the scoreboard doesn't reflect, like especially halftime scoreboard doesn't reflect how the game was going, in my opinion. 24-12 down. We missed 3 conversions. Yes, they were on the sideline, but we missed 3 conversions, which means if they'd got them 24-18. And then if you look at the start of the second half, they were going, set for set at each other before that big howler. Yes, the big howler, the big talk of the NRL at the moment, because there's actually been more talk about that, to be honest, than there is about the grand final itself. And
it has.
there's been more talk about that because even to Aussies over there, they don't give Warriors the time of day. Sometimes they're talking about how embarrassing it was to let such a blatant forward pass be ruled, and it changed the game. And for me, Broncos, especially the Pony supporters, they're going to be saying, "Oh no, it didn't change the game. It wouldn't have been. We scored all these points after." But I don't think they realize, those dumbasses don't realize that once you've actually when that happens, it can demoralize the team. Even my wife, Gina, who doesn't know much about rugby league at all, she said, "I can see how that's demoralized them." She could see it on their body language, and if it wasn't for that try, who knows what would have happened? They scored 3 tries, and Broncos scored 4, so they were up there. So I don't know. They could. I mean, I still think Broncos were the better team. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with it, and I'm not saying that the Warriors would have won. I'm just saying at that point that was a really turning point, because what happens if the Warriors, score a try next? Because they were going set for set.
I say, and it wasn't long. Am I right in saying? Can you remember? It wasn't long after Pompey had his try disallowed, or was that earlier in the game?
I actually can't remember.
I'm pretty sure that was either the start. I think that was the start of the second half. And I mean that was sort of like he probably got it down, but there was obviously no evidence to show it, so don't mind the decision. But yeah, I mean the full pass was just. I mean, you can come back from 12 points, like teams do that all the time. But 18 points is, that's 3 converted tries. It just made it from that moment. It was just like, okay, there's no way. Yeah. Watching that, I was like, there's no way we can win this game. And it's a shame to sort of have that happen. And then they scored another 2 or 3 tries after that. And you could just see, as you said, you could see the body language of the Warriors.
They gave up.
But you wonder what these officials are looking at. You had the Harry Grant one last week where they knock on, and then you have that this week. You've got the touchy there. There's a lot of talk about whether Bunker can rule on 4 passes, and I don't think they should be able to, because I think it just ones like that obviously would be handy because you can quite clearly see that's a forward pass. But there's just probably the technology is obviously not there with those sort of closer ones where there's ones that sort of do go out the back of the hand and then it floats forward. So at what point are you going to say it's forward? But yeah, I mean that one on Saturday night, that's inexcusable. I think Andrew Webster put it well. He sort of said it's beyond a joke. He's like, I'm not, and he was the first one to say, I'm not going to say that we would have won the game if it wasn't called. But I mean it's beyond a joke how bad of a call that was. And even the one afterwards, the Cobbo to Ricky, I thought was forward as well.
It was, I thought, The thing is, I remember watching it, and since Gina was actually doing some ironing next to me, and she was watching the game
like 11:30 on Saturday night.
Yeah, she was doing it late, and she was doing some ironing, and then she was like, I'm pretty sure this is what she was doing anyway. And I remember her saying that was forward, like she could see it, she could see it, and I said it was extremely forward. We watched it, in the replays and stuff, and I remember I saw NRL 360 Brayston Nestor going off at it, saying this is embarrassing. Those are the words he used. Embarrassing, and it is, and it cost Klein the game before the week earlier. It cost him, his spot in refereeing one of the games on this the week that just happened, and now it's cost.
I see Adam G's been given the whistle this week for his first NRL. He's probably his first grand final. He's only ref who hasn't, big name ref who hasn't made a big fuck up for this final series. So. Yeah, I'm sure there's one coming in the grand final.
Well, the thing is that just pull aside this, just put aside the stuff that happened on the weekend with the Warriors. Throughout the whole season, you sing howlers, right? Throughout the whole season, that's why the whole when the One New Zealand CEO came out and he called them out on it, specifically because on the Warriors they were doing so much damage to the Warriors, which is true. I reckon it was, and but throughout the season it was happening to other teams as well. I think the referee. I
think that One New Zealand CEO, I think that this is his first season following the Warriors or something, because obviously, as you know, John, being a big Warriors fan for a long time, this is just an ongoing thing, And I think we've had it pretty good this year, because of actually being good, and it seems like the NRL kind of likes us, but we couldn't get the boys couldn't get too far. They still had to.
Yeah, it's just I think what he did change things a little bit though. I think what the referees were more on notice because they realized they'd just been called out, and then oh crap, because they let some stuff get away. I mean, yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just so embarrassing to watch that, and it was such an important game. Yeah, it was hard to watch at times. Our defense was poor against the Broncos. I mean, that first try that Walters scored, where he dummied and Jackson Ford just looked out.
Yeah.
That was so poor from Jackson Ford. Not trying to bag him because he's had a good season, and I like Jackson Ford, but I just couldn't believe he just fell for that dummy. Such a blatant dummy, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, it didn't help. And then I think it was obviously just those offloads that we just couldn't shut down, and we just couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. It was just so fast.
Well, that's what changed the game for me. I said it in one on Facebook when I put a post out for our page. At halftime, I said, those late forward pass. Those late offloads. It wasn't just an offload; it was late offloads. So the team had already started to retreat back to 10 meters, and they were getting these late offloads away, and then they were just accelerating, and then we weren't ready for it. So I couldn't understand why we weren't wrapping the ball up. I know it sounds easier said than done. Like, it should be so simple to do that. I know sometimes it's not that simple, but as professionals, they should be able to wrap the ball up. Flegler kept on doing it like every time he had every run he had, and it was getting on my nerves. It was getting on my nerves.
Yeah. And then when for the Broncos, when you've got a player like Reece Walsh sort of hanging out in the backfield, like you just can't give him anything, and we gave him way too much, and he took it. I mean, he had his fingerprints over that whole Broncos attack. I think the first 4 tries, he basically had a try assist for all 4 of them. I think he'd sort of set up the break, which I think set the Broncos up the field to get the Walters try, and then he had that thick offload. I don't know how he did that offload to Farnworth for that second try, and then there was another one sort of out to Cobbo's wing where he set something up, and then there was that one where he came up in the middle and set up Walters' second try. So I mean I'm sure that the Panthers would have watched the replay of that game, and they'll be figuring out what they can do to sort of shut him down. I thought that the week before, how we'd shut Ponga down. I thought, I was sort of hopeful, but it was just it wasn't our best. Yeah, we sort of just we saved one of our worst performances of the season.
I mean, we started well. Like that try that Dallin scored was beautiful. It was a beautiful try. It was beautiful. Then we're scoring more. I know Dallin got an intercept try and blah blah blah, but we started off well. And then even they scored one on the left edge there. When Montoya scored. Yeah, and then I thought we were doing well. This is why I'm saying, like, people, like, especially Broncos fans, they'll probably hear this. If they do, they'll go, well, whatever, you wouldn't have won anyway. And I'm not saying that the Warriors would have won. I'm just saying that howler came at a crucial moment when the Warriors weren't backing down, because they'd gone like 15 minutes without scoring. There was no score. Brisbane hadn't scored, or the Warriors hadn't scored. And just say, I mean, I know there's a lot of what ifs here, but if the Warriors had scored and they can, then Brisbane can't say, oh, you wouldn't have scored. Well, how do you know? We scored 3 against you in the first 40, and they were good tries. They weren't just lucky tries. They were good clinical tries.
And so probably did. Yeah, as I said, we sort of got close with that Pompey try, and then there's probably a few moments, but there was sort of that. I think either side of half time, I think we had 100% completion rate for about half an hour, maybe even more than 30 minutes. Yeah. But we made 3 errors, 3 sets in a row. One of them was that one off the scrum, and there was just another couple of real silly. They were just drops. I think for Noah Blake, it was just drops. And like you think about that scrum when the game was 24-12, where there was probably like 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, and we go. Was it 4? I think it was Pompey, wasn't it?
Actually, no. He dropped one where he ran it into, and the ball went flying. There was another one where Ford had the ball.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I just thought. Yeah, I mean, Pompey didn't have a good night. I mean, the Pompey haters were out in force.
Yeah, I think that was a bit uncalled for. I mean, he obviously had that drop ball, and he did get that send off. Like, there's a bit of a soft send off. I mean, it is obviously a send off. Like, you can't do that. But in saying that, you can't take a player out before they catch the ball 5 minutes out from the line, like Stags did to, you know, like, I mean, he didn't take him out, but he still affected him from catching the ball cleanly. And when you're 5 minutes out, you know, like, I mean, that could have been a penalty try. It could have been, a send off for Stags, but obviously it was. I think was that when that must have been when Pompey sort of went over, and got close to that try.
Well, I mean,
because it got called back for a penalty. Yeah,
because I've said it before. Like I don't have an issue with Pompey. Like I'm not a Pompey hater, and I think he's had a decent season. But there are parts of his game which I don't understand. He has moments where he is good. Like against Newcastle, I thought he was brilliant. But then in previous games, I just think there's a part of me that thinks he's a bit lazy. I feel like he goes into some things like just real casually. It looks like it just from the naked eye. It just looks, like I don't know if that's just the way he looks when he runs the ball. I don't know, but there's a bit of a casual thing to him. I don't know, but once we review the season a little bit more further, and we think about talking about next season, because Roger's coming back, and it's been pretty much clearly said that he'll be a centre, not a fullback. It's whose spot does he take, and I really think he'll take Pompey's spot, not Berry's. And that's my opinion. But and I'm not saying this
he's obviously, he's re-signed for a couple of years. He's played every minute this season. Like, he's obviously an important part of the team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It will be interesting to see what happens there. Or whether they could use. Yeah, none of them could really play as a utility, could they? None of the three of them. They're all probably. I mean, Roger could probably be a utility because he could play, wing fullback, centre, and then you could probably put him at 6. He'd be happy enough.
I think he's too. I mean, I know he's been away for a season or two now, but I think he's just too good to be a sub. But who knows? We'll talk about that now. Just before we go into the reviewing of the season quickly, just a brief summary about that. Penrith, Storm. I thought it was a very boring game. I just thought the Penrith were they just had it over them. It was just too easy for them.
Well, yes and no. I think the Storm they had some chances, and they really, I think they after Olam scored that try, and I think it was 4-4 or 6-6 or something. And they were holding attack again, probably 10, 15 meters out, and they had a 3-on-1 overlap, and one of the second rows passed it behind Olam, and Olam dropped it. Olam caught that. It was a try for all money. Him or I can't remember. I can't remember who was playing the left wing, but they would have scored for sure. And that would have been like Storm up 8-10-6. And they were just making so many. It was like they hadn't played. Some of these guys just hadn't played together before or something. Like they were just making so many. Like Meany had an absolute shocker. He had about 3 or 4, about 2 or 3 sort of just drops. Not
I agree.
Unforced drops and I mean you can't do that against Penrith, and they proved that they came away with a big win. They probably didn't look. I don't think they looked unbeatable. But the Broncos won't be able to do sort of what they did to the Warriors this week. It was just fun. It was a funny game, eh? Yeah, Storm were just messy. I think, and then Hughes and Munster and Grant, they just couldn't get going, and they just looked like really disjointed. And I'm sure Bellamy would have given them a bloody good spray. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, which is why I'm saying to me it was a boring game, because these are the games that you want to be fast and like really tight, like tight scoring game, and it wasn't nothing like that at all. I know the Warriors wasn't, but the Warriors had more action in it, more entertainment. But yeah, I just thought it was a boring game, and Penrith, rightfully so, gone through for their 4th grand final in a row. They're looking for their 3 wins in a row, which is quite a big, massive feat. I think the last team that did that was Parramatta in the 80s, I think, or 70s. I can't remember, but I think Parramatta was the last.
I think it's at least 40 years. Yeah, it may even be the Dragons, like back in like 60s. I think. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Eagles though. They did it in the 80s or 70s, but it's a hard feat to achieve, and they're on the brink of it, and that's for me, that's just like greatness, and they've got an amazing side all round. Like it's a well balanced side. In the forwards, they've got a great forward pack who play with pace. Then they've got amazing halves. As much as I don't like Jerome Law, I think he's the the biggest grub and arrogant person in the world. He combines well with Cleary. He combines really well with Cleary, and they do a good job. Then you've got guys like Dylan Edwards in the back, Crichton and stuff. Brian Toto. They've got. Look, you say the names, and you just know that that's just the all round. They're a well balanced side, and they complement each other really well. And I think the Broncos are going to have to go up another level to beat them, because one thing I noticed about Penrith and stuff, and the Storm does it as well, and the Broncos do it, is that they nearly cross the line when it comes to holding a player down on the tackle. They hold them on for too long, then they just let go, and the referee lets them get away with it a lot, especially the Storm. Harry Grant, Karen Muster are the biggest villains of it. They hold the player down for so long, and I don't understand how they get away with it. That's why some people, they say players are protected or that sort of stuff. But Penrith do it as well, and Brisbane were doing it against the Warriors the other night. But when the Warriors do it, they hurry up and get off him. Get off him. The referee yells out, and Brisbane were able to do it without a problem. That's the thing I don't like about sometimes the refereeing, is the imbalance of those kind of calls, because it means that it speeds the game up for their attacking team, like the Brisbane or Storm or Panthers. But when the Warriors are on attack and they want to go play fast, they're held down so long by these teams. And that's just my opinion. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get at is that Penrith and Brisbane both do it. So how's the ref how's he gonna do this? How's he gonna monitor this? How is he gonna play this out? Because they both do it to each other. So is it going to be a game of slowing down, or is it going to be a fast-paced game? Because they know they both play fast, so they're going to want to slow them down.
Yeah, I mean the Panthers won't let the Broncos play with that speed that they played against the Warriors. Like, that was just, that was incredible to watch. I think it was from that first hit up. I think Fanua Blake, who hit up the game for the Warriors, and the Broncos were there, and then from that set they were just up so fast. So it'll be it's kind of like, it's obviously the two best teams in the comp in the final. So I'm happy for them. But as someone who's going to the grand final, I would prefer to have a team that I wanted to win more. But I'm gonna have to go with the Panthers. As far as cheering on, but I'm taking my Wars jersey over, and I think I'll be wearing that all weekend anyway. So hopefully there'll be a few up the Wars, walking down the streets of Sydney. Just walking through the Potterdua Mall on Saturday, have my Wars jersey on. I got about 10 to 15.
You're one of the brave ones,
mate.
You're one of the brave ones that have kept your ticket and have decided to go over. I myself can confirm I was able to sell my two tickets. And me and my mate bought. So I'm getting that money back, which I'm happy.
Did you make a profit?
No. I just sold it back for face value. Ticketek marketplace where you can go it back online and list it back online, and they sell it for you. It was sold literally within a minute after I listed it. So obviously the tickets on demand, and I knew that would happen. That's why I didn't have a problem buying them in the first place.
Wow, there was a lot of Warriors fans. So I think there's still going to be quite a few Warriors fans. I've heard of a few people who are still going over. Hopefully I have to look out to see if there's any Warriors fans sort of hangouts before the game. And then we've got the big boat trip up the river to the stadium, which I'm looking forward to. I started putting the playlist together today. So John, if you've got any songs you think we should chuck on the playlist, let me know.
Yeah, no worries. I'll let you know. But it's still going to sound fun. I couldn't justify paying $700 to $800 for a one way, to Sydney, and then another $700 to $800 back. So I couldn't justify it just to watch a grand final. I would have done it if the Warriors were playing the final. I told my wife, I'm going to do this, and she was understanding of it. So, but because they didn't make it, I wasn't going to do that. So, so your trip, I'm jealous, going on the boat ride with your mates and stuff. Something that I would love to do, even if if the Warriors weren't playing. But I just couldn't justify the expense of the ticket over. So, because people were saying to me, why don't you just go over for the experience? And that is something I'd like to do, but I just couldn't justify the high tickets. I don't know I don't even know if in New Zealand or Jetstar, you know, Qantas were going to put some specials up for the Warriors fans to go over if we had made it. But yeah, but you know, have a good time over there, mate, because it's
Oh,
make sure you represent that Warriors jersey well when you're over there.
yeah, well, I will. I'll try to stay out of trouble, but I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some banter with any Broncos fans who run into about the
Yeah,
Reece Welsh signing with the Denver Broncos, or I see that the Broncos are actually they've announced that you're going to train with the Los Angeles Raiders when they go over to the Vegas for the the Las
yeah,
Vegas Raiders now, aren't they? When they go over for the Vegas NRL weekend. So
yeah,
I'm sure there'll be a few of those. Reece Walsh in particular, he could.
yeah,
I would like, in all honesty, he would be an absolutely fantastic NFL player to watch. He's a little bit small, but yeah, he as a running back, he'd be amazing. He's so slippery and fast, and I
yeah,
reckon he'd get Payne Haas out there as well. You see that? Did you see that massive break he made up in the middle? How fast was he?
yeah,
Jeepers.
yeah, exactly.
Couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, don't want to remember those moments in the game, but yeah. So let's talk about the season as a whole. Before
Yep.
we do that, though, we did put out there, on social media, whether people could write their answers down. We had who was your Wild of the Year, most improved, biggest surprise. So before we give our ones, we'll let's go into the comments where people made some comments. So let me just go into them. Have you got yours open there as well?
Yes, I do. Yep.
Yeah. So we had we'll go from Andrew Barry at the bottom. He said SJ, Berry, and Dallin. So SJ was his Wild of the Year. Most improved was Rocco Berry, and biggest surprise was Dallin. So that was him. Who have you got next there?
We've got George Brown. So Wire of the Year, Adam Fanua-Blake.
Yeah.
Most improved, SJ, and biggest surprise, Luke Metcalf.
Yep. We've got our good friend Raz. Raz in there. He's put in some comments here too. His one was number one, Wire of the Year, SJ. Most improved, Wade Egan, and surprise, Jackson Ford. Good picks. Good picks.
Yeah. That's pretty close to what mine are. Oh, I'm still kind of like, I've got about two players for each position myself. So got Mike West here. He's gone with Fanua-Blake for Wire of the Year as well. Also got him for Wade Egan, most improved.
Yeah.
Was it most improved, and biggest surprise, Jackson Ford.
Yep. Then we've got JJ Topai Avia. Hopefully that's how you pronounce your name. He wrote, I think everyone would agree and say Pompey. There's a few laughing emojis there. So yeah, he's just taking the piss there. It's all good. It's all good. And another one, Logotao Samu. I'm not sorry, mate, if I haven't pronounced your name properly. Sorry. He said the CEO, which is a fair call. Because it did. I still think it made an impact on their season.
Oh yeah, Cameron, he's doing something right. So yeah. Have you figured out who yours are?
Oh yep. My Wah of the Year is without a doubt Sean Johnson. I just think that he was the vital cog in the team. I know that even he will probably say himself, it's a team game, and they did play as a team. But when he didn't play, you could see the difference. And the game against Penrith, then the first finals game against Penrith, then the game against Newcastle, you could see the difference that he's made. And I think for me, he is the Wire of the Year for me. Most improved. It's a very hard one for me. Because there are players there, for example, like Dallin, who I think has had a stellar season compared to what he had compared to last year. Chance, for example, but he came from Canberra and he was playing reserve grade, wasn't he, when he came over?
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's huge.
So if you're going to take that into it, those sort of elements into it, then yep, I think that Chance would probably be the most improved because he'd gone from someone being downgraded to reserve grade back into the Warriors team, and he played. He was awesome. And we'll talk about the Daly M as well after this, but I'm surprised that he's not in the nominations for Daly M of the year, because he made a lot of meters, scored tries, assists, and he got James Tedesco that's in there. How the heck does that happen? What the heck did that Bonker do?
Don't get me started.
Yeah, what the heck did that guy do?
It's just the NRL, being like, he was good 5 years ago, so let's get him in there.
Yeah, that's not saying he's a bad player or anything, but what in this season? What the heck did he do?
Nah, I mean, there's so many good fullbacks in the game. Yeah, I don't know if you had a look on. You're not really a Twitter user, are you? But yeah, Twitter was blowing up about that the other day. It was just everyone was just like the logic behind it, and so I think someone pointed out that it's not actually based on the top, the top point scorers, fullbacks, the top points, which sort of seems a bit stupid. Like if you're gonna, I don't know.
Well, I mean, the thing is though, it's based on other things like try assists and all that sort of stuff, tries, and he made so many meters per game. Like I don't understand how he's not in the frame. But like, if they're gonna justify and say, oh, it's not about this, then but what did he actually do? He didn't make no meters. I don't think he scored hardly any tries.
Yeah,
and he didn't really do any try assists. So how the heck is he even in the frame? That's what baffles me. That's what blows my mind. Is that how the heck?
Oh, I love the passion.
Eh?
We'll get him on the phone. So,
mate,
he's a good New South Welshman. So good on him.
Stuff there. The biggest surprise for me. Biggest surprise for me, probably be Rocco Berry.
Nice.
I thought that he came in with so much potential, I think I've mentioned it here on this show before. I've spoken to Rocco. I did an article on him many years ago when I was back in journalism. But and at the time though, when I was at the time, I just thought he was. How do I know how to put this? I just thought he needed to beef up a bit more, because every time he got the ball, he was running and he was getting driven back every play, and he still does at times. I still think that he needs to be a bit more, just run it straight directly at them, and I think he could beef up a bit more. That's my opinion, but I think he's had a way better season than last year, so that's my biggest surprise.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tohu Harris for my Wah of the Year.
Oh, good choice.
I did I had him or SJ down there. I pretty much. I mean, you could put SJ. I think you could very easily put SJ in all three of those positions.
Yeah.
Because he
after last year,
he's been so incredible, and I mean, the expectation he's probably gonna win the Daly M.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't win it, to be honest. But Tohu just as far as Wah of the Year, I think he sums up this whole sort of Wah. I mean, yeah, between him and SJ, they kind of sum up this sort of up the Wahs movement. But Tohu just plays with so much heart, and just the meters every week in, week out. Just he's making a couple 100 meters, 35, 40, 45 tackles a game. It looks like he's done his ACL every week, and then somehow comes back on, and just it's the post content meter, everything, and he just leads the team from the front. So
you're right. I agree. And the thing about Tohu is that he plays with it doesn't look the prettiest in the sense of the way he plays. He just gets it, does it, but he just does the job so well, and like you said, leads from the front. I think he is the ultimate warrior, and I don't mean it because he plays for the Warriors. Like if he was playing for another team, I would say he's the ultimate warrior. Yeah. He's a soldier. He does the hard things, and does it right and does it well. Does it with his mouth shut. Doesn't have to be all glamorous about things, and doesn't have to be in the ref's face and stuff. He just does what he needs to do. He knows what he's doing. So I like that. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah. So he's my Wah of the Year, most improved. I had Wikinews Lesniak. Yeah, just. Incredible season. The fact that he was out for a good amount of games as well, and then he's come back and he's broken the record for the most tries for a Warrior in a season. I think it was 23 or 24. Got a double on the weekend. But just it's not just he's obviously a great finisher, but it's the meters that he makes. From the back, off the kick returns, that I think is massively underrated. And we're very lucky. We've got three great players in the Warriors who can do that. I don't know, like, remember, I think there was about 4 minutes left on the clock. We'd obviously lost the game on Saturday night, and he did this kick return and just absolutely
I saw that
wound up
one,
from
the
the
big
back
run.
fence.
It was
Yeah,
that
and I
ball
was
game.
like, I was just like, oh, it's so. Well, it was something it's good to see. Like, obviously the game
Yeah.
was lost, but it just showed that the where he is as a footy player. And he's probably had some pretty dark days in the last few years, because he was obviously on a massive contract at the Bulldogs, and then they basically paid the Warriors to have him. Like, so and I mean he's finally he's sort of he's worthy of the time. So yeah, he was my most improved. I did have Nickel Klotstedt as my I had the two of them there, and I had to cross one out. And the biggest surprise was SJ for me. Yeah, I mean I think you've summed it up. But I mean I would have loved to. I've needed to check with one of my mates at the TAB and see if they can look up how much Shaun Johnson was playing. Oh no, you can't actually be in the Daly M anymore, I think, because there was a bit of a drama a few years ago. But if you could bet on it, how much Shaun Johnson would have been paying for Daly M, because it would have been thousands, like, and I wouldn't have taken that. Like, we all know he's a great player, but he looked a shell of the sort of player he was in the last couple of seasons. But just incredible, great to see. Just absolutely, just loved watching him this year. So shame we don't get another. Well, hopefully we'll get to see him play in the black jersey in a few weeks. But and he can bring some of that form over. But yeah, that's the three for me.
Did you see on the footy show that awkward conversation that him and Michael Maguire had on the footy show, the Matty Johns footy show?
Nah.
The Matty Johns show. Like Michael Maguire was a guest, and then it was right after the Knights game, and I think he said something to him, and Michael Maguire said something to him, and then I think SJ was like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk, we'll talk." But I'm sure he knows he's in the frame for that, because I mean he's had a better season. He's had a better season than Jerome Hughes. And Jerome Hughes, if it was me, Jerome Hughes would go into 6 and SJ to 7, or Dylan Brown.
I'd probably do it the other way around. I think I'd put Hughes keep Hughes at 7 and put Shaun Johnson at 6. Maybe I just feel like maybe Hughes is more of a out and out halfback, and Shaun Johnson might be a bit more. I think I'd be happy either way, but I think I mean Dylan Brown, he sort of obviously had his little hiccup this year, and he didn't really come back and play his best footy. So I think, I wouldn't be surprised to see all three of them in the squad, but I think that I'd like to see Shaun Johnson and Hughes combining in some way, shape, or form.
Yep. And just letting all you know who are listening in right now, we want to talk about the internationals. We're thinking of doing it tonight, but just for time, probably we'll save it for another episode. And when it comes around with internationals with New Zealand, Australia, and Samoa. And when those internationals come along, we'll get back on the microphone and we'll preview those games as well, because I've got my players who I think could make it in. Like, for example, who else? Just had a brain snap. Broncos second rower. I just had
Ricky.
Yes, I just had a brain snap. I reckon he's right there, up there for it. He could be in contention as well. There are so many players that in contention in my view. So that's awesome. Before we continue, we put another post up. Finish this sentence: the Wars will finish blank on the ladder season. And we'll just greet a couple. We had your mate. You want to read it up? Is your mate's one there, Matt?
Yep. Sorry, I'll just bring it up. I think it was something along the lines of number 1 up the bloody Wars or something like that.
Yeah, nice, Matt. I like your thinking. And we had Chris Balsam. I don't know who Chris Balsam is. You don't know where he is either, do you?
Nah.
He's put 14th, so I'm assuming he's a Ponies fan. I'm assuming, but no, Chris, don't worry about it, mate. We still love you here. You're part of coaches, so we still love you. But no, you're wrong. You're wrong. But I think for me, I think we'll be top 4 again next year, and I think we'll do a better. I think we'll have a better showing. I think, from my view, you yourself.
I'm going to say 5th or 6th. I think we'll still play well, but I just think there's still so many good teams in the comp, and we had a pretty good draw. We've had a pretty easy draw this year. in hindsight.
Yeah.
We need to be able to be better. We need to be able to beat the better teams. We were 0-2 against Penrith. We were 0-2 against Broncos. We were 0-1 against the Storm. We were 0-1 against the Rabbitohs. 0-2 against the Roosters. Obviously, the Roosters sort of came a bit late, but they were sort of like an early premiership contender. So, you add them up. That's 0-8, 0-9 against the best 4 and 5 teams in the comp. So, we need to figure out how we're going to beat those teams. I mean, we're obviously in that. I think we're obviously very clearly in the front of that, probably middle section of the. So that's why I think I think we'll still be we'll be in and amongst the 5th and 6th, but we might not get such an easy draw next year, so might drop a few places.
Yep. Well, we'll see. I reckon I'm going to take a wager with you on that one. I'm reading top 4. You're saying 5th and 6th. We'll do a wager.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We'll review this back. Closer to the start of the season next year, and because we'll preview the season, and obviously by the time that comes along, we'll know what the draw is for the season, and we'll know better. We'll know the squad a lot more better as well, because I think the Warriors have 2 more spots to fill, and I'm not sure. I mean, I could be wrong here. I could be just totally just missed this. I don't know if Tohu's coming back or not, or he hasn't said anything, or if he's staying on, or is he retiring? I don't know. I hope he stays on. But
there is a list of players who can kind of. I saw today there was a list of about 10 players who can negotiate. On November 1st, and there's some good players in there. But I imagine everyone's going to stay. Big shout out to Sirenen. I think he's been a great Warrior the last few years. I've really enjoyed it watching him play. And I think, is he going to Super League? Is that right?
I don't know. There's been rumors about him going to Super League, or the Cavaliers were interested in him, but I don't know. I mean, do you think that he might have warranted a change of thought from the Warriors management, to maybe bring him back on? I don't know, because there's still 2 spaces to fill, and he's done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the decision's obviously made. I mean, it was only made a few weeks ago as well, so the decision's obviously made. But good on him. Like, he's been a great Warrior, a well-deserved player in that squad, and played his role very well. So I wish him all the best, and Liami Vailea as well, going to the Cowboys. He probably just didn't get as much time as he could have, I suppose. I think he's a good player, but obviously just missed out behind sort of Pompey and Berry, and then sort of Montoya when Montoya was playing in the centres. So I hope he has a good career, good time at the Cowboys, and maybe even come back to the Wires a bit later in life.
Yep, fair enough. Just to quickly summarize the season review in terms of grading: A+, F. A+ being the top, F being the lowest. Where would you grade the Warriors season?
Oh, it's got to be an A for me. Not quite at the A+. I think we would have had to probably, if we'd made the grand final, even if we'd lost it, I would have said A+ there. But to go from where we were last 12 years, it's been a long 12 years. It's been a great season, and then unfortunately, obviously, we couldn't save probably our worst performance of the year for that game, which couldn't keep up with the Broncos. But great season. I've loved every minute of it. It's been a ride. Loved my the Saturday afternoons. Just started a tradition with my family. When we have the Saturday afternoon games, we get the salt and vinegar chips and the dip out. So, and the kids love, the kids get excited about it. So I hope that tradition sort of lasts for a long time.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I actually think I would give the Warriors an A+.
Oh, wow.
I would give them an A+, and just for the reasons that you just said as well, the fact that they had gone from second to last season to the top 4, for me, I think any team that does that warrants an A+. Yeah, they may not have won the big game that they wanted to, or made it to the grand final, but I still think it warrants an A+, making the top 4, going from where they were. And it's an A+, not just because of what the performance is on the field, but it's because of what they did for rugby league in general in New Zealand. And like I said last week, would you even know, with the Warriors, with the up the Warriors fever going so strong, would you even know that there's a Rugby World Cup going on at the moment? Where traditionally New Zealand have been really strong. The All Blacks have been really strong, but at the moment it's been more about people care more about the Wars than the All Blacks at the moment, and I just think that's for me gives them an A plus, because not just because of their on field performance, but off field, the culture that they've started at the club and with the fan base. I think that's what for me gives them an A plus. So that's what I think about for the Warriors season. That's my grading for the Warriors season. And well done, boys. Well done, boys. If ever any of them you get to hear this, I just think you've done New Zealand proud. I think you've done the fans proud, especially the diehard, loyal fans that have been there since day one, like ourselves, Richard. I think, I salute the boys. Salute the boys for doing what they did, and hopefully they can come back next year and go one more further, make that grand final, and then I can actually go as well. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to get it over the line if they make the grand final next year. I might have used up my brownie points, but I'm sure I'll be able to, I'll make it work.
Just work some Villadaddy magic, mate. You'll be all good. You'll be good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that's our season review. Daly M, I think we sort of touched up on it anyway, but SJ, front runner to win Daly M of the year, player of the year. I think there were I think there were 6 Warriors in line for an award for Noah Blake and for Noah Blake for prop of the year. They do 2 props, not just one prop. They do 2 props. So I'm sure him and Payne Haas will win there easy.
You'd imagine so. There's some good players in there, but seem like they've been the clear sort of standout. So
yeah. Who else? I think I haven't got the list in front of me. Do you?
Yes, I do. So
you can read them out then. Yep.
Tohu Harrison, lock of the year with Isaiah Yeo and Patrick Carrigan.
3 amazing players. Yeah.
How good's Carrigan, man? He was so good on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Obviously, Andrew Webster, coach of the year, with Kevin Walters and Ivan Cleary, which looks like he's been sort of like a front runner for that as well. I think that I'd be surprised if he doesn't win that. Captain of the year, Tohu with Adam Reynolds and Isaiah Yeo, another 3 very good players.
Yeah.
Which he'd probably deserve that. Hooker, Wade Egan in there with Epi Carousel and Harry Grant. So he's kind of been a bit of a dark horse, but I don't know. I reckon he's probably favourite to win it now.
I think he's the favourite. No disrespect to Epi Carousel and stuff, but it didn't help that he was playing behind it, playing with a team that wasn't performing, because actually, it duds him out. And then Harry Grant, don't get me wrong. I think Harry Grant's a good player and he knows what he's doing, but he didn't have the greatest season. Let's be honest. No. He didn't have the greatest season. He made a lot of mistakes. I saw him play a few games, and he was nothing like he's normally how he normally is. And I think Wade Egan have to. If you put if it's those 3 players, you would think that Wade Egan would be the front runner by a long margin.
Yeah, for sure. And then I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think that Carousel was like playing in the halves a bit towards the end of the season as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously Sean Johnson at halfback of the year, and Watini Zelezniak, surely he'll win one of the wingers of the year. Maybe with Dom Young. So I'm just jotting down my team of the year real quickly. I just need to get my second row. So I you probably haven't done that, but I'll just quickly run through. So fullback, I'm going to go with Callum Ponga over Edwards yesterday. Reece Walsh not nominated because he got suspended.
Oh, are you talking about Daly M? I'm just talking about my team of the year in general.
Team of the year. Nice. If it was team of the year, I'd go definitely Reece Walsh.
Yeah.
My wingers are Watini Zelezniak and Dom Young.
Yep, very cool.
My centres, Bradman Best and Herbie Farnworth.
I would have gone Crichton myself. To be honest. Yep.
He's pretty good. 5'8", Kieran Munster. Halfback, Sean Johnson. Wade Egan, hooker, props, Haas and Noah Blake. Second rowers, it's a bit of a hard one. Like there's some good players out there. I want to go Fafita, David Fafita and Tyson Frizzell. And lock of the year, give it to Toho.
Yeah, fair enough.
Love the guy. Give him captain as well with Webby as coach of the year and everyone's laughing.
They don't have interchange player of the year, do they? And the Daly M, do they?
No, they don't. I feel like maybe they used to, because I think
Yeah,
did Jazz win it one year?
it rings a bell, doesn't it? Like it rings a bell, because I reckon Dylan Walker. If there was, Dylan Walker would win that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Dylan Walker would win that. But yeah, when you mentioned Cameron Munson, I was like, are you kidding me? But then when I think about it, just having a quick think along across all those teams in the NRL, there aren't many good 5'8s out there at the moment. When you think about it,
No, there's not. So I think it was Ezra Mam and
well, he did pretty well. He'd probably be the best in my eyes in the season for the season.
yeah, I mean he
Yeah,
played well the other day. Ezra Mam and sorry, I just bring it back up. Yeah, Cody Walker, and the Rabbitohs weren't themselves this year. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he was good at the start of the season, and then
Yep.
they just left side just
went from hot to cold.
start off.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think about it, you got Dylan Brown and stuff, but they didn't do much. A lot of other teams just had makeshift ones. I mean, Jerome Loy as well. I don't think he did that much either. But when you
then
think
he was
about
injured
it,
as well. So
yeah, when you think about it, there ain't any great 5'8s out there. Like I mean, he had like John, your lover boy, John Schuster at Manly there. Sometimes,
hold
but
a spot.
he was a yeah,
he won't
he
be
was
playing there this next season. That's for sure.
he's on 800,000 a season. How the heck do you give John Schuster 800,000 a season? I don't understand that.
They obviously saw something in him. Maybe
Not denying,
maybe he's
yeah.
those hypnotizing eyes. And,
It's not denying his talent or anything. Not denying his talent. It's more the fact that he's not putting the performances on the field. It's just that how do you pay someone that much money? So like there are guys at the Warriors. I feel like I remember seeing a list of salaries. Some of them are on like 300,000. Like not even Sean Johnson's not on even 800,000. I don't think a season.
Oh no, he's yeah. I think he's only on about
Half a mil,
450, maybe 500. Yeah,
half. I think he's on 500K, and you got guys like John Schuster on 800,000. How the heck does that work? And how does it work for the whole Manly side? Because there are some guys there on big money. So this salary cap, if I was the NRL auditors, I'd be having a quick look, having a bit of a peek into their books because that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but
might be a few bags of cash being in the 3 Pines car park and like the old sort of Roosters and Melbourne Storm days maybe.
Or maybe 3 bags of a few bags of KFC for John Schuster. But I mean, no, shouldn't say that. It's pretty mean. Sorry, my bad, my bad. But yeah, no, I think that come tomorrow night we'll find out that SJ is Daly M Player of the Year, and we'll make sure that we promote that on our channels as well.
Yeah, and I hope to see it. Looks like there'll be a few Kiwi boys there to give him a haka. Surely, I mean, when SJ got it and he got a big haka, and that was emotional stuff. It was just beautiful to see.
Oh, sorry, when Roger got it.
Yeah. You'd say there was a few Kiwis, all the sort of Kiwi boys who, all from all the other NRL clubs, they all got up. I think Jazz was there that year, and he ran down the middle of the aisle, and you could see it in Roger, man. He was emotional, So I reckon that if that happens, like SJ he'll be tearing up, I reckon.
Yeah. You can see how much it meant to SJ, right? Like when they lost, how much it meant to he felt like they let the fans down, but I think the fans are just proud of the boys.
Yeah.
And
and you saw, I don't know if you saw, there was obviously where the fans were, they were all in one just bay, and there was a heap of everyone had the flags, and all the Warriors boys are going up there, and everyone was giving them big cheers, and so it was cool to see. Like, it was obviously a disappointing finish to the season, but I mean, I think they've very much they haven't lost any fans this year, and they've probably quadrupled their fan base, I reckon.
Yep, and again, I mean, I've probably repeated myself like 4 or 5 times in this episode, but what they've done for the country and when it comes to rugby league is phenomenal, and they can be proud of not just their performances on the field, but what they've done for rugby league. And I said it again. I said it again. I just want to make sure that that's said up there, because I mean, who knows who listens to this? Maybe Charlie Gubb. Maybe he's passing this on to other players as well and stuff like that. I don't know, but yeah, like I just think that they've done an amazing job, and they can hold their heads high. And I'm definitely getting Warriors jersey for my little one.
Nice.
Coming in January, when January comes along, my boy comes along, gonna have the jersey there for my boy, and yeah, I'll put that up. I'll put that up. I'll put that up online. I'm definitely gonna make him a Warriors little fan. So yeah.
Yeah. We've got a jersey for my 2-year-old. It's a size 4 jersey for my 2-year-old, but it's pretty much too small already. So I think I'm going to need might need to buy a size 6 next season for him.
Yeah, no, definitely. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and don't know how happy Sajina will be about that, but it's gonna happen. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's gonna happen. So yeah.
There's some pretty, to be honest with you, there's some pretty horrendous looking infants Warriors gear, but it's so bad that it's so good, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we were going to talk about internationals, but I think we'll wait till we have an episode just for internationals, and we'll get the fans involved as well. But so I guess this would be our last episode for the NRL season, and just want to say thanks to everybody who's been tuning in. This is our first season of doing this. Me and Richard, we started late in the season as well, but from doing it late in the season, it's been really awesome, bro. Like it's been awesome to get involved with this and knowing people are watching as well. We've had people commenting, giving us feedback, how they're loving it. We gave some shout out to some people, and then they came back excited because they heard their names out and stuff, and it just shows that people are listening and watching the show, listening to the show and watching on YouTube, etc. We had Charlie Gubb, our first guest on as well. So I think in the small window that we had, 8 or 9 weeks, but I think we've done a pretty good job. And,
it's been great. Yeah. Just building on I don't know. It was a good time to start, wasn't it? Because it seemed like once we started, the Warriors got on a winning run.
Yeah.
I think, at one point, that must have. We were basically every week. We started on that win streak. They won about 6 or 7 games in a row.
Yeah, the reason.
So it was all on us, and then the Up the Wires movement sort of just took off. So I'm sure that it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm sure there'll be lots of Up the Wires still being thrown out there on throughout the off season. So come on, bring on 2024 season, man.
Yeah, it's our year. 2024, it's our year. It's our year.
It's more like it for you, are you? A bit more old school.
Yeah, it's our year. Up the Warriors. Up the Warriors. That's more me. You're right. It's more me. But again, guys, thank you for tuning in and listening to us. We'll still be putting stuff on our channels and stuff, and from time to time we might actually even do the odd episode here and there. But we'll definitely do one for the internationals, and we just can't thank you enough for supporting us through this time that we're doing this. And no, we can't wait for season 2024, but season 2 for Couch Coaches as well. So thanks a lot, everyone, and have a good night. And up the Warriors!
Up the Warriors! Choo choo choo! Oh, the ball!